Hey guys, good evening. Hey, welcome back in Detox tonight, and we are live at the studio. So we're in the private studio. We have two rooms, one for privates, one-on-one or small groups, and then we have the big room for the regular group classes. Feel free to make yourself comfortable. If you would like to join me for a 5-minute mindfulness meditation, any upright seated position with your head above your heart. Legs can be crossed. You could sit on your shins. You pay attention to your body. If there is tightness in your hips, then put something underneath your bum and so that you can softness around your hips and your low back, even though you may still feel it a little bit. And it's better to not just be kind of sitting in the agony of the tightness, and whether it's a 1-minute meditation or a 5-minute meditation or how long it is. Head above your heart, close your eyes. Feel the draw inward when you close your eyes. You can peel a layer back from the superficial or the surface level experience, whatever you may have been doing most recently that you were engaged with outside of yourself. Peel a layer back. Feel your body grounded in your seat. You begin to include your mind participating as you observe the breath. You watch the air travel into your body and watch the air as it goes out of your body. And then welcome yourself to be still. And you can let go of time. I'll call you back here in a few moments. And you can watch the breath, and then you can simply observe any sensations or any thoughts that may arise during your practice. Enjoy. You're, of course, welcome to continue your meditation until we start our detox practice. When you're ready to come out, sit up tall, take a deep breath in, feel the air fill your lungs. And a nice soft sigh as you exhale, you can bring your eyes back into the space. You meet anything you see with softness and a little more patience. Welcome everybody, good evening. I hope you guys had a beautiful day. It was so nice here in Los Angeles. It was like perfect weather, perfect sun. So it was just a good feeling, and to be outside and to do something. You know, I did the class this morning here from the studio, and then I'm doing this here from the studio for now. And, you know, that's the most movement I think I've made in, you know, the last 2 months. I was going back and forth to the studio twice. It's trippy just to see how that feels and how sensitive we become, and you pick up on all the energy in the cars driving by on the street, and you know, it's really, really awesome to continue to honor where you're at and what you may be processing and how you're feeling. Hi, Emily. I hope Chicago had a nice day today as well. Normally, I only hear when it's a really nasty day. There's something that I post or share, and then my dad texts me and says, "Yeah, well, you know, lucky you, because it's, you know, 20 degrees right now and snowing," or something like that. Cousin. Hey, for those of you that haven't been to the studio before, I know you can't see the whole thing, but this is the private studio. It's made for one-on-one sessions. It's got an incredible energy. Practices, you know, tend to go pretty deep pretty quick because of the nature of one-on-one versus, you know, the larger group classes where it's one teacher and it could be 20, 30, 40, 50 students. So everything that goes on in this room is quite specific to the practitioner and from the instructor. So it's got a really good energy, and I was looking forward to coming back and sharing the space, because it does, you know, you feel different things in different environments. You know, practicing in the garden, practicing on the deck, practicing outside versus practicing inside. I think it's nice to explore everything and try it all. And maybe it's encouraged us, you know, with this quarantine when we haven't been able to come to, you know, our hot room, but to still feel our practice and how it supports us through our breath. Pretty amazing. Hey, Biz, I'm right in front of you because Biz lives just behind the studio. So we're sharing the practice here from the 700th block of La Brea. Hey, Terry. And I think one of the things I value so much about the containment of a space that is a studio is the stillness. Like, you walk in and it is undeniable. And then how the stillness and the silence is so supportive and at the same time so confronting. You know, so it kind of gets to you faster, whatever the practice is going to be, I find. When there's other distractions or other things that you can entertain, you can, of course, include all of that, you know, as part of your practice, as we should. But when there's a space and it's settled already for you, it's like a capture. It's like a, you know, somebody catching you and holding you. That's what I get when I come into the studio. I feel that. Brian Boone, just around the corner. So I'm back in the hood, you guys. So this morning I was having a little issue with my earbuds. So I'll start the earbuds, but if it doesn't play for me, I'm just going to stream. It'll still stream for you guys as it did this morning. I just couldn't hear it for some reason. So if it doesn't stream for anybody that's on it, and then I'll just follow along on Spotify as well, which is a total option. So I'm actually going to try to start it a minute early here on earbuds to see if it works tonight. Ashley, good evening. All right, it's working tonight. So if anybody is following along on earbuds, Amy, nice to see you. And otherwise, if you're on Spotify and you want music, go ahead and start your music. Beautiful day, a Sunday. Sundays are special, actually, the beginning of the week. The deepest, what we try to do at the studio is curate, you know, opportunities for you to make Sunday the deepest kind of evolution of your practice, the investment to yourself as you start a new week. I want to frame that up. Could feel good. So Sundays, all days are special, but Sundays can be very special. All right, so let's go ahead and lie down onto our backs. And we'll start in reclining butterfly pose with the soles of your feet together. And let your knees fall apart. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And if it's too loud, you can always drop a note in the live chat. And let's take the back down. And gaze into anything that is above you right now. And let the soles of your feet be together, your knees fall apart. You could always slide something under your outer thighs. And it'll kind of catch your legs, and then that'll help and release and soften through your inner thighs and your hip flexors a little bit more. And who knows where we go? Who knows where this practice creates a crack and things can shift, and it could be physical. You guys hear me say this quite a bit. It could be emotional. It could be mental. But we hope now sustaining some of these poses passively for 3, 4, 5 minutes, we do create some cracks and some opportunities for the shift. So watch your mind, watch your breath, and have a great practice tonight, everybody. And you're welcome to keep your arms by your sides. If you'd like to feel a little bit in your shoulders, take your arms over your head and bend at your elbows, and then just let your arms get heavy. And so shoulders, a little space across your chest if you need to reset your head. And if you got a shoulder thing going on and you want to keep one arm down and the other arm's up, you can do that too. And feel yourself drop into your body, heaviness of your body, and the weight of your head, and the release of your belly. If you're holding on to any belly stress tonight or anxiety, take 3 deep breaths. And feel your belly rise, and then light sigh, open your mouth, exhale all of the air, and do that 2 more times. And it's like a best friend picking up where you left off. The last time we shared a practice from the space in the studio, it was March 18th. And we pick it up here on May 17th with quite the adventure in between. And slowly start to bring your knees back up. You'll feel your inner thighs. You might feel the weight of your legs. Eventually, you want to feel the legs and the heaviness of the legs. Your body will get heavier and heavier the more you let go. And through this practice, set the soles of your feet flat. And you're welcome to keep your arms where they are. In slow motion, gently you can rock some weight on the back of your hips. And so your knees are on the slowest windshield wiper. You feel your sacrum getting a roll out into your mat. And the sacrum is the triangular bone at the base of your spine, so it's below your lumbar spine. And connects to the iliac bone. Feeling your low back as you square your knees, cross your left ankle to your right thigh, so you got a figure 4. Slide your right foot out to the right side edge of your mat, and then go ahead and roll both of your knees down to the left. If you want anything to support underneath your left thigh, you can place it. You are putting some torque into your right knee, so if that doesn't feel great, make some adjustments so that it's more on the spectrum of comfort and discomfort versus pain. And set your shoulders heavy. You can let your gaze fall to the right. And close your eyes and observe the sensations. And be with space. Evolve with time. Notice the expansion of the relationship and that you now have with time. And see if the state of your mind can shift and where you are the breath. And where you are this patient and this persistent flow. And establishing a structure and a understanding of grounding. And roots and a curiosity and to go deeper and beyond the superficial and material world that we can engage by what we see. And let out a soft sigh. And when you're ready, no rush, start to roll your hips back onto the mat. You feel the space to your outer right hip flexor and top of your thigh. Work out some of that practice we did this morning. Like that wild transition into a half moon with warrior 3 arms. And go ahead and uncross your left ankle, bring your feet flat to the mat. And take your stack, any part. If you have a yoga block, use the lowest height of your yoga block. And so we're talking about elevating the hips and then sliding the block or your stack under, so there's about 4 inches of lift into your pelvis. If it's too high, you're going to feel the block on the bony part of your spine, like the vertebrae. Slide it down a little bit. And then listen here, let your left leg slowly slide long onto the mat. And let the heels settle. And then on your stack, we're going to turn the right knee out. And so it's like a tree leg or a half butterfly. And the elevation of the pelvis and should give you a little different sensation. And so if you need any mindful adjustments and gentle shifting on your stack or your block, do that. And reset your shoulders, release the arms by your sides. And let's sit in this state of observation. And remember, you can observe and simultaneously you can reflect. It's a great way to progress in the space of the moment and feel things shift, and perhaps you're even awake and you notice when something cracks. That initial point in where you're able to see something that you couldn't see before, feel something you've never felt before, or even reach that moment of realization, the yoga. Let it all come together. Relax your jaw if there's any tightness. And feel your next breath and the soft sigh into your heart. And gently begin to turn your right knee back up. Your low back may certainly be pulsating, talking to you a little bit here. Slide your left foot back in. And put a little weight into your feet. And lift your hips, draw your belly, and then slide your block or your stack out, please. And let your low back and then your hips come back down onto the ground. So your low back is flat. Separate your feet a little bit wider. And let your knees fall in towards each other. And take your hands, rest them onto your belly, please. You should feel a softness across your brow and your forehead. All linked back into your sacrum. And feel the effect on your mind. Good. You can let your knees spread back apart, hip width. And then just push the mat away through your feet. And start to lift your hips and your low back off the mat. And so you're lifting your belly into your palms. Utilizing the strength in your legs, and don't worry about going as high as you can. You feel that traction and support. Anchoring your feet, space for your low back, and we'll observe 3 breaths here. And feel your bum squeeze your glutes. And then slowly and softly start to come back down, 1 vertebra at a time. You should feel a pretty good rush. And 1 breath, and your option is to sigh. And we'll set it up, right ankle to your left thigh. And take your left foot out towards the edge of the mat. And then go ahead and let your knees fall down towards the right. If you want to put any part of your stack underneath your right thigh, you're welcome to. And keep the arms down. You're welcome to take your arms up. And set your shoulders and release the muscles in your neck. And your option is to turn your gaze towards the left. Remember what I was saying at the beginning, it's like a space in where you can feel the support, like someone is holding you, nurturing you, understanding you. And you may be finding that you enjoy listening, you enjoy observing, or being the listener, or being the observer. Absolutely no rush. Bring your head back to center. And then you can begin to roll your hips. So once again, your hips are flat. You might feel that in your low back, of course, and bring your right foot down onto the mat. You feel the soles of your feet soften, tips of your toes. And could be a little sigh if you want it, take it. And let's reach down again for your block or your stack. Put a little weight into your feet. And lift your bum, and you want your block on the lowest height. And so whatever you're using to elevate your pelvis, about 4 inches. And then make sure the block is down far enough, and so it's on your sacrum and versus the bony part of the vertebrae in your low spine. And then you can release your right leg straight. And heel is heavy. And then we'll turn the left knee out and come into like a tree pose or a half butterfly. And with the pelvis elevated. And take the hands, rest them on your belly. And feel your center here. Notice if you're being greeted by a previous version of yourself. If your teacher internally has showed up tonight and the previous version is on display. And check it out. Continue to observe. And be patient in presence and continue to be right where you are. Unforced and without you trying to change it in any way, neither pushing nor pulling. Maybe you felt it. Maybe you felt a crack. The shift. And let it open up. Take it in stride. And feel it out as you take a deep breath. And start to bring your left knee back up. And bend both of your legs so that your feet are flat. And then use your feet and to lift your hips ever so slightly off of your stack. Slide it out. And then you're going from your middle spine and coming down one vertebra at a time so your low back touches before your hips. Nice. Separate your feet a little bit wider and let your knees fall in towards each other. And practice, everyone, is unbiased. The practice doesn't judge. The practice also calls it as it is. It doesn't beat around the bush, so to speak. And so there is some courage and bravery to stay in some of these postures. And let's let the knees separate hip width apart. Arms by your sides, press down into your feet. And then go ahead and start to lift. Use the muscles in your legs and your glutes. And to draw your pelvis and low back off the mat any amount. And keep the breath relaxed, and so you're still unforced and the breath is natural. And then from the middle spine, coming back down one vertebra at a time. And you take it slow, roll on to your right side. And we'll come over onto all fours. And transitioning into a single pigeon. Okay, once you're on all fours, let's start with the left leg. Slide your left knee outside your left wrist. And then turn your heel in with your right hand. You can bring your heel forward more. Okay, listen to your body as you slide your right knee back. You should feel sensation outer left hip into your outer thigh. And you can use your stack or you can crawl forward onto your elbows. And eventually you might make your way all the way down onto your chest or let your forehead rest. And left leg first tonight. So many times you do your left side second. And so see if there's a different interpretation and see how your mind responds to doing it first. And you may find it interesting at how your face muscles soften and your jaw releases when your forehead is connected to something. And then just watch the flow expand. Great flow. All the energy you need in this flow. And if you've yet to meet your edge, if there's more space for you to come down in your sleepy pigeon, go ahead and take up that space now. And then come back to your stillness. Okay, you guys come back up onto your hands. And we're going to feel this release on our belly, and so slide your hips back. Slide your left leg behind, and then come straight down onto your belly, onto your chest. You feel this release, and you can set your arms in any shape that feels good. And turn to a cheek and feel the rebound here. So that's leading with the left side, everyone. Turn your chin back. You make your way back to all fours, and so that we can set up our single pigeon and our right leg. And right knee slides outside your right wrist. Angle your shin. Use your left hand. Pull your right heel forward a little bit. And then square your hips. Slide your left knee back. If this is already a lot, observe here if you can come down onto your elbows. You rest on your stack, or go ahead and rest your forehead all the way down onto your hands or to the mat. You should feel something in your outer right hip. In your outer thigh, you may certainly feel something in your knee, deep flexion, with a bit of torque through your knee. And focus on the stillness. You see, stillness is the opposite of a surface level practice. And stillness is only exciting if you're sitting within. Keep your jaw loose. And the neck and the face and the muscles are relaxed. And if you haven't reached your depth or your edge, and there's a little more space that you can dive into, go ahead and dive into that now, please. And before you make your way into your next rebound, you notice the shift. And pay attention so that you can see the changes as they're happening. You'll know the difference in between truth and observation, or your mind just making something up again. You'll know the difference. We'll stay as low as we can. And transitions start to come back up onto your hands. And then move your hips back, slide your right leg behind you. And then go ahead and come all the way down to release onto our belly, prone position, onto your chest. Feel your right side. And let's take the left cheek onto the hands. Hear whatever feels good here. Close the eyes and enjoy the rebound. And keep the chest heavy. Just turn your chin and so that your neck is neutral. You can rest your chin and then lift your feet so your heels are over your knees. And go ahead and windshield wiper your legs back and forth, side to side. And here you might get a literal crack. Hips are in your sacrum. And next time your heels are on top, pause. And slide your hands under your shoulders. And let's make our way all the way back up to all fours. And to feel some of this energy, this flow, and this prana And set your hands, step one leg back, tuck your toes, and then go ahead and press your way back into a downward facing dog. And feel free to move your dog around a little bit if you want to pedal it out. Feel the release in the back of your jaw. You can stick out your tongue, do a nice. You walked it out. Bring your big toes together in your down dog. And walk your feet forward, say 12 inches. And then we're going to split the knees wide and bring them down to the edges of your mat with your toes tucked. And hips back to your heels, and then walk your hands towards your knees. And so this may be enough with your hands on the ground. Remember, your toes are tucked. And that's essentially the point of this position, is to stretch into the arches of your feet, the soles of your feet. And if you're not feeling it too much with your toes tucked, then bring your hands and therefore your shoulders on top of your hips. So you're going to bring more weight into the toe smash. You notice if your hamstrings are responding by gripping, relax your hamstrings, the back of your knees, your bum, and then notice anything that you're feeling in your chest. And close the eyes here, head above your heart, and soft space across your chest. All right, hopefully you felt this enough in your feet and your toes. Bow your chin forward. Take your hands back onto the mat. And keep your legs as they are. Just go ahead and untuck your toes. And set the tops of your feet, and then sit back onto, here in this case, in between your heels. You'll feel that counter in your ankles, possibly through your shins. It's really good if you've been running a lot. All that flexion and pounding of the foot. If you've ever gotten shin splints, you know what I'm saying. Open heart, everybody. 3 breaths. Feel the space. You're in it now. It's not like you're observing yourself outside looking in. You're actually in it now. And it just happens. It's a byproduct of being versus doing, being present. You're really seeing that as the most vivid option, and because it's the only option. And keep your feet where they are. Look down, and all you're going to do is turn your knees in so that they touch one another. And so your heels are still outside of your hips. And if you want a little bit more, bring your hands in front and then turn your heels out even wider with your knees together. And then go ahead and sit your pelvis all the way down. Possibly it'll even touch the ground based on everything you've done tonight. And soft interlace to your fingers in your lap, palms face up. And keep the belly relaxed, and you can let your chin settle into your chest and close your eyes. And this is exposing the relationship in your body from your outer hip flexors through your outer hips, down the outer thighs, and then all the way into the back of your knees. Let go of the fight, let go of the anger, let go of the expectation. You may notice that you let go of the fight and you let go of the anger. You may just find it and to be a happy place as you evolve the essence of listening and being the observer. If you're feeling some of these tingles in your toes now, about 1 more minute, and it's okay to stay with it. Feel it, all these waves moving through you. All this energy from your practice moving through all parts of your body and being open to that. Not holding it back, not being the enforcer or the decision maker, but just being open and to observe all the energy of your practice flowing through your entire body. You can open your eyes, use your hands. There'll likely be some feeling here in your knees, in your legs, from your hips all the way down to your toes. And lift your bum slow, rock off to either hip. And let your legs come out in front of you, and then go ahead and release and lie down in your most comfortable position on your back. Any part of your stack under any part of your body, and so that you don't have to hold on to it. And you feel the beautiful contrast now, the heaviness and the mass of your body, gravity. You've surrendered into it and through it, and to then notice this perspective of lightness and buoyancy in what was anger, and distraction is now peace and understanding. I mean, it didn't require you and to fix it and to figure it out. And keep watching, your mind is changing. I mean, the adjustments are working through you. And as we open up more and more through this process, right, we could admit and actually be excited, I mean, that the mind is changing and the adjustments are working through us. In this practice and to every practice, and maybe we start our practice in that place. And takes us to another place and then around to another place. And if you need to orientate yourself into an understanding, then let it be the essence of all of us waking up, becoming more aware, not becoming more perfect, becoming more aware. And whatever drew you to your mat tonight, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to share the experience with you. And hopefully one day again soon, live and in person. But there's no substitute for this connection and these breaths. And for the support and the foundation. You can basically take yoga and you can tag it onto any part of your life, onto any activity. It's a beautiful contradiction. It's a beautiful complement. And you can fall in love with it. You can fall out of love with it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's acceptance and it's peace, and it's always there for you. So take your time in your meditation. When you are ready to move, please move slowly and start drinking more water. I hope to see you all tomorrow morning for our 10 a.m. practice. Have a beautiful night, everybody. Namaste.